Hi boys and girls, welcome back to Mr. Brakefield Reads. It is a very sunny Sunday morning and we are just about to get back into The Monster of Shiversands Cove by Emma Fishel. We are on chapter 5 today, but just before we do get on to chapter 5, to recap on chapter 4, what had happened. Well, Stan, our main character, had seen a girl from home that he didn't really want to see. Her name was Pearl Pankhurst. Now, thankfully, I think he's only glimpsed her and they haven't met yet. But Pearl Pankhurst was the girl that moved in to Stan's best friend's house, which was Rory, of course, when Rory's parents got a new job and had to move to a new town. And so obviously Stan was pretty upset about that to begin with, and then didn't like it very much at all when he found that it was a girl that was moving in to Rory's house. But not only that, they had then a disagreement about Rory and Stan's den, and they're not friends at all, these two. They really don't like one another. So we'll see if Pearl perhaps comes into chapter 5 and whether Stan gets a better look at the creature, the thing out in the bay, whether it is some kind of monster, whether it is really just a whale or something else perhaps. We'll find out. Chapter 5, The Coastal Clipper. Lightsands Bay had a harbour at the far end. It was small and sheltered, tucked away behind a big stone wall, and full of boats. There were sailing boats, motorboats, big pleasure boats, and bobbing about at the end of a jetty, an old-style fishing boat. It was a trawler, the kind that drag big nets behind them, scooping up fish as they go. Only this one was painted bright colours, and it had a big sign next to it that said, "Coastal Clipper. Lightsands Bay boat trips every 2 hours." A boat trip. Maybe I could get a closer look at the whale thing and show it to Dad to see what he thought it was. "Dad, can we do a boat trip?" I said. Then I noticed someone sitting in the chair next to the sign. He was a grown man but dressed as a pirate. He was wearing a big pirate hat and a patch over one eye. He had a fake parrot wobbling on one shoulder and he was brandishing a big plastic cutlass. Oh no, first the lobster lady, now this. "Dad," I said, "I've changed my..." Too late. Dad was walking up to the pirate, wallet out. The pirate leapt up and twirled his big fake moustache. "I be Pirate Pete! Arr!" he said. I felt my teeth grind. Did he have to talk like that? And worse, look at me, as if a boy my age would enjoy watching a grown-up pretending to be a pirate. The pirate swept off his hat and gave a low bow. "Welcome aboard, me hearties," he said, waving a hand at the boat. Dad was just as bad. He hopped onto the boat, talking to the pirate in his own pirate voice, going, "Aha, me hearty, aha!" I slunk onto the boat behind Dad and slumped down on a long bench seat that stretched all round the sides. It was so unfair. I could have had any Dad in the world, but I ended up with this one. Other tourists started straggling over, all getting the pirate treatment. Once 12 of us were on board, all squashed up on the seats. Off the coastal clipper chugged. Slowly it chugged out of the harbour, round a big stone wall sticking right out to sea, and then off towards Tide Island. It was choppier outside the shelter of Lightsands Bay. The boat started bouncing about, and the water looked darker, colder and deeper, with little frothing white bits on some of the waves. And Dad got recognised again, this time by a granny who was sitting right next to me. She sat there, grey hair, grey cardigan, squashy granny shoes, glinting at Dad sideways through her specs. Then she leaned right over me and tapped Dad on his shoulder. "Excuse me," she said, looking thrilled. "Are you Mr. Wizzywaz?" It turned out there were a lot of grannies and grandpas on board who all watched Dad on TV with their grandkids. So Dad sat there, signing things, answering questions, singing bits of Mr. Wizzywaz songs. Then he turned his attention to the baby. There was only one baby on board, sitting opposite us with its mum and its dad. It was a glum-looking thing, with a bald head and a fat face. It was sitting on the dad's lap, stuffed into a stripy onesie and staring around, toes pointed, all solemn and still. Dad tried to make the glum baby laugh. He pulled a ping-pong ball out of its ear. He sang it a sea shanty. He did a little jig. Nothing, not a flicker. The glum baby just stared at him. Good on that baby. I tried to ignore it all. Dad, the magic tricks, the sea shanties. Besides, I was busy. I was keeping a watch on the sea, clutching the binoculars, staring left, staring right, looking out for the whale thing. Slowly, the boat chugged its way right round the tide island and into a small creek right opposite Shiversands Cove. The pirate tied the boat to a big metal ring. Then we all hopped off the boat and onto a small jetty, all sheltered here from the open sea by the island itself. Be back in 1 hour, me hearties, said the pirate. This landing place, it be no place for a boat at low tide. Tsar! I felt my teeth grind more. Why not just say, this creek will be all sand when the tide goes out, so the boat will get stuck? Much better. There was a little machine with tide timetables in it, and a label that said, Welcome to Tide Island. Tide timetables, please take one. So I pressed the button, and out popped a small booklet. It showed the times of high and low tides for every single day of this year, and it also had little pictures showing what kind of moon there was. Full moon on Friday, I said to Dad, which was a big mistake. Straight away, Dad threw his head back, then howled right in my face. I glared at him. And as for the glum baby, did seeing Dad, a fully grown man, doing a werewolf impression, make it move a muscle? No, it just sat there, squashed into a pack on its dad's back, toes still pointing, and stared. Tide Island was a gloomy sort of place. The far end jutted right out to sea, battered by winds from across the ocean. There were lots of jagged black rocks and a few bits of grassy stuff struggling to grow. The only building on the island was small and strange, shaped like a tiny lighthouse. It had an arched wooden doorway and a sign outside it, which read, Mildred Marchwold, wrote here. There was lots more writing underneath the sign. I skimmed through it. It was all stuff about how the building belonged to some olden days writer who lived in our cottage but came here to do her writing. Now she was dead, and for some reason, grown-ups had decided to leave the room just as she had it, for visitors to see. I had no idea why they decided that. When we pushed the door open and went inside, it was almost empty. No wonder she got her writing done. There was nothing else to do in here. There was no TV, nothing interesting. There was just a chair, a desk, and an olden days machine with a stack of paper next to it. The machine was huge and heavy-looking, and all black with lots of metal prongs with letters on them. A typewriter, Dad called it. He said it was the olden days way grown-ups used to write books before laptops. Well, whatever it was heavy. I know because I had a go at lifting it, and I had to heave, really heave. There was other stuff in there too. More about Mildred Marchwold. There were things like book covers and notes she wrote, but I wasn't much interested. Books aren't really my thing, particularly not ones with fairies and elves on the cover. I did like the window, though. It was a porthole one, and it looked straight out to sea. I stared out, but no. There was still no sign of the whale thing. Maybe we'd see it on the way back. And we did. Well, I did. I kept scanning on the way back, using the binoculars and scanning left and scanning right as we chugged out of the creek and away from Shiversands Cove. It was there. I knew it was out there somewhere, and I really, really wanted Dad to see it. Then I spotted it. We were chugging around Tide Island, turning back towards Lightsands Bay, and there it was. It was out at sea, swimming slowly through the water, clear as clear. I gaped. It was huge. That long neck, that big snouty head, frills flapping around it, that long, long body. Dad had to see it. Dad, I said, thrusting the binoculars into his hands. Look, quick, out there. That's what I saw yesterday. That whale thing. What is it? Dad grabbed the binoculars and looked through them. I waited, expecting him to gasp or say something, to tell me what it was. He didn't. He started scanning around, scanning left, scanning right. What was Dad doing? Why wasn't he looking at the whale thing? The mutant, whatever it was. Look, I said, guiding him, pointing the binoculars straight at it. Right there, there. Dad was still peering and shaking his head. No, he said, can't see it. But it was there, slap bang in front of his eyes. How could Dad not see it? There's the picture of Stan and his dad, and as you can see, it is right in front of his dad. And he can't see the very thing that's staring him in the face. The whale thing turned and stared straight at us. It was a big swish. It gave a big swish of its tail and slapped it down on the water, which startled me, so I yelped. And now it was Dad who was staring. He was turning and staring at me, narrowing his eyes as if he was baffled by the yelping, as if he was wondering what I was up to. That was when I knew. That was when I realised. Dad couldn't see it. The whale thing, the whatever, even though it was clear as clear, Dad could not see it. I looked all around the boat and I realised something else. It wasn't just Dad. It was all the grown-ups. Not one grown-up could see the whale thing. They were all staring straight through it, not seeing it at all. They were looking out to sea as if that enormous whale thing simply wasn't there. Which was when I heard a chuckle. The chuckle of a baby. I turned. The baby, not glum anymore, was waving its fat little arms and trying to clap its fat little hands. Its eyes were popping with excitement. That enormous creature swimming out there. There were only 2 people on this boat who could see it. The baby and me. Okay, so that's chapter 5. So we found out a little bit more about this creature. It seems that adults can't see it and only children can. Wow, what a strange thing. Anyway, I'm going to read this again on Wednesday, and we're going to read it on Friday as well. So we're going to have a double edition of our chapter book next week. I've decided not to do as many of the picture book Fridays for now because they weren't as popular as the chapter book, and also would like to do some other things like some quizzes and maybe some writing as well, but definitely want to get into a little bit more into the Shiversands Cove, because we've got it's 13 chapters, and so that's quite a lot, and I don't want to just have 2 a week. But anyway, for now, enjoy the sunshine. You've got some great sunshine coming up this week, so enjoy the sunshine as much as you can and as safely as you can. Make sure you enjoy a little bit of reading as well. Take care, boys and girls.